We're going to begin our journey with Baa Baa, Black Sheep. And if you are at all familiar with the Suzuki method, you may know that the first song in the Suzuki method is Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And that's a song to which Baa Baa, Black Sheep bears no resemblance at all. Yeah, just kidding, they're almost exactly the same. But we're going to be different and start with Black Sheep because it's a perfect way to develop basic tone, basic pitch, and bow distribution. Now that may sound complex, but all it means is that we divide the bow in half. And sometimes you're going to use the lower half of the bow, the half that's closer to your hand, the frog, and sometimes the upper half, and sometimes the whole bow. And you'll keep that concept through your whole violin playing life, and so we start with it right away. We're also going to encounter one bow circle in this song. And a bow circle just means that you want to get from one part of the bow to the other. So maybe you're ending a note here and the next note begins here. So you can't just travel on the string because then you're playing another note. So you do that in the air. And rather than doing it in the air like that, we do it in a circle because it's a very smooth and very natural way to move the bow. So a classic bow circle, circle, circle. Those would be circles back to the frog, and now a circle back to the middle. A smaller circle, that's all. So throughout the time you play violin, you're going to be making lots of bow circles. Some will be slow, some will be fast, some will end with another down bow, some will end with an up bow. But the concept is always the same. You circle first and then play. And as long as you remember that, you'll be able to do them in different speeds and different parts of the bow. If you are looking in the mirror when you're doing a bow circle, you can see that the bow is going to stay in the same plane. And that's just a fancy way of saying that it stays straight. So you know from watching a basic sound production lesson that we like straight bows parallel to the bridge rather than like that. And the same is true when you make a bow circle. So you end a bow like this. You don't want to make your circle like that. You want the bow to stay straight, to stay just above where it would be if you were actually playing on the string. And you don't have to get too concerned about that right in the very beginning, but that's something you'll keep in mind forever. So, Baa Baa, Black Sheep starts with open strings, so as long as you've tuned your violin well, those are going to be in tune. The third finger here, that third finger should match your open D. And you can tell it matches because you won't hear any of those disorienting, call them beats in the sound or waves. So this is in tune. If I move my third finger a little higher, you'll hear, and you know that's not in tune because you hear that. Same will happen if here's in tune. Move it a little lower. So just by using your ear, you'll hear whether that third finger's in tune. Right after the third finger, you have what I call a high two. That second finger, because it's high, it goes just behind the three. They should actually be touching. If you have really, really small fingers, they may not touch. But for most of us, that second finger is going to be pushed up right behind the third finger. So the opening. And that bow circle in this one is going to come at letter C. A basic bow circle back to the frog. So now we talk about the bow distribution. That's your other task in Black Sheep. Basically, what I'm after is you using the whole bow to make a beautiful sound. So we start near the frog. Now these eighth notes get just half the bow. And then the half note, the whole bow again. Speeding up that part. Now a whole bow for the quarters and a half bow for the eighths. So you can see when I play a down bow, these eighth notes now will get the top half of the bow. The quarter takes us to the frog, and now these eighth notes will get the bottom half. So in this tune, be specific about how you're distributing the bow, and make a nice, beautiful sound with great pitch.